Exactly.
So this is something that Kiro allows you to do. Right? When you click on hash, it brings up the various things you can reference, okay, including specs, other specs, or steering files, right?
You can have steering files, any kind of file, MCP server, or an external URL as well. And you can also reference to the docs. Like we have docs. Docs doesn't mean it's the full documentation, but it's the nice summary of this documentation with best practice and everything.
So I didn't understand that. I learned today. So where's it getting that from? Is that built into Kiro? Or is that through
this is built into Kiro?
Power?
This comes like we are not calling any external service with this at all.
Wow.
These are built in.
Oh, okay, awesome. I did not. So I have learned something today, Salih.
Yeah. I'm happy, man. I'm happy. And you can select this one. So for React, it will take React. And I will say with Vite here, but Vite, we don't have the documentation. How do we get the Vite documentation? We will use the context 7. And what I will say is for Vite documentation, use context 7. This use context 7 is the keyword that context 7 asks us to do the call to the MCP. Otherwise, it's not going to go because of what Ricardo said earlier on, because it's expensive to get the information from, not get, but actually, like it might bring every information that you don't need if you're in the auto mode, and it will cost you a lot more context and your context window will go short.
And also what I found as well is that if you're not explicit, what I always do is I also use the context 7 MCP server, because what I found is that whilst it works most of the time, sometimes it will just not trigger the MCP server. And I'll be thinking, oh, it's just doing its own thing, right? So that's confused me. So sometimes I also explicitly use the MCP server context 7 or something.
Yeah, this is in their documentation. It says, end your prompt with use context 7 words. That is how it picks up. So I want to use Tailwind because Tailwind has lower shaders. I love it. It makes my CSS life easier. And recently that they had hard times, unfortunately, but luckily, the community jump in and they're helping out. And it's great that we are gathering together to save this great initiative. This is my personal things. I just since I love this, I love using this. I also like that, community come together and build on this.
So this is it. Is this our prompt? Is this our starting prompt? Our starting vibe prompt?
I will do one more thing. So in web development, we have many different UI libraries that we can use. It makes our UI flows easier, better, and I would say more beautiful. You can do it by yourself as well, but it will take additional steps. And generally, these UI libraries are very configurable. My favorite is ShotCN. And I will use ShotCN with this, and I will ask to use ShotCN as well. So I will say for UI components, I to use ShotCN. And we need to...
I've never heard of that before. So again, nothing I've learned today. So ShotCN.
Yeah, it's ShotCN. Yeah. I when I heard it for the first time, I was thinking, how do you even pronounce this thing? And it's apparently,
exciting. Sounds cool.
And I think we have everything. It's quite basic. I'm not adding anything. I will add one thing with TypeScript. We can add TypeScript docs as well, but we don't need to have the TypeScript docs here right now.
Yep.
And
so this is a boilerplate kind of prompt that you could pretty much use for everything.
Exactly.
And
start of a project.
It's in fact one of the things you might even do is, and within Kiro, you can actually save prompts, right, and then recall them using the @ sign. But we're not going to do that now. But this is the sort of thing you could do if you're going to do this a lot.
We can't do it in IDE, right? We can do it in CLI, but
you can, but you've got to save this as a markdown file within your Kiro directory and add it that way. So let's not do that now, but just letting people know that if this is something that you were going to use, you could refer to these prompts just each time you're doing a project rather than have to type it and do Control-E. Or again, we could use prompts to save those so you've always got them handy and available. And you've been kicked out again.
Yeah, I know. I just brought it back. So right now, we can just run this one. It's going to be super basic. So what it's going to do is, first it will get my steering file, and it's going to call the MCP tool. It's going to search for Vite, React, TypeScript, because I wanted to use Vite as a development tool for building my React apps. It is not going to bring React and TypeScript documentation. It's going to bring the Vite one.
So before, I was going to say, before we do that, let's talk about trust. So there's
Okay, this is over
there's-
here as well. No worries.
yeah. So so when you've got the option, you can just blindly run it. Okay.
Yeah.
And trust them. You can also configure the trust, right? As well. If you click on
Yes.
trusting it, it asks you to how you want to configure the trust. Oh no, are we still at the MCP server here? Are we? Oh, okay. So
Yeah. I don't trust MCP server calls.
yeah.
That is why. Yeah. Because
So we're just
sometimes,
running it.
again, sometimes we have the local documentation, like we have React here. If it was to go and look for React, it would be very unnecessary for me. That is why it's really important to tell your intention, tell you want to do to your ID.
Yeah, that's good.
For example,
good tip.
And here, for example, it says now we have the Vue.js. Now it has more context. It is querying the docs, and same goes for Shatsian. For example, it brings the Shatsian's UI part.
Yeah.
It adds everything to your context window. Why is it happening?
Wow, this is crazy, man. You're having some. Which browser are you using for StreamYard?
Cool.
Oh, okay.
It should be. Yeah. So now it started to create a project. It says create with game project. Template is React.js. The main folder is called Kiro Coding Quest. So we are okay to keep it game project. You can change the name as well. Then you will follow along its installation process, and these are requiring user input. For example, do you want to use
it's actually it's running the command, but Kiro's not responding to it. You've got to respond to it.
Exactly. Oh my God, this is not good.
Let me come out. Maybe it doesn't like the fact that you and me are sharing screens both. So let me unshare my screen and see if that helps it stabilize.
I don't know. It's a bug from StreamYard, not us. All right.
Usually.
So roll down Vite is an experimental tool. We don't need it right now. So do you want to have the install with NPM? NPM is not packaging manager. With web applications, there are different ways to do package management. There's NPM, there's also Ban and many others as well. But NPM is more or less the technology to go with. I don't know, man. This is funny. I'm getting sabotaged. Let me do just.
You know what? I think it's the Kiro. The Kiro's haunting you.
Yeah. Let me maybe it was like full screen is annoying it. I'm just going to do a single window. Maybe it's going to do that.
Yeah, actually, you know what? So I have sometimes found that they can give you different results. So yeah, let's try that. Okay, so effectively, just to recap, after that prompt, it effectively has started creating us a Vite starter project using the npm create Vite, which you are then having to respond to. So this is not. This is React with Vite. So does Vite create the React stuff? Because in the past, when I played React, it's normally you do a React create, right? So where's the React piece coming in from?
So the React piece is actually bundled into Vite. Vite is a tool that is allowing you to manage different ecosystems. In this case, we are doing it with React right now. And
so it's a build system. Vite's a build system.
Exactly. Not this was on purpose, by the way. Like now it actually built a project and it already showcases that one. I will just show you that briefly, not this one. This is what it built for us.
So just from that one prompt and the command, we've now got the startings of our game.
Yeah, and it's not even ready yet. Like it will do a lot more styling in a few seconds.
Okay.
One thing that is really important here is like Vite embraces React, but it brings in packaging. It brings in a lot more different. I'm just sharing my code again.
So you can use React with other things other than Vite, is what you're saying.
Exactly. You can do React alone as well.
Things.
Yeah. Vite also brought in capabilities like server-side rendering and so on to make it more efficient. So for example, the tools, the hosting services that is supporting server-side rendering, if you have Vite, it makes your life easier to do.
So let's say for example, what were React developers using before Vite came along?
It was using React, like they were using React's packaging system, React tooling. Okay. It's basically like an abstraction over the tooling system that React already has. So that is why I will try something different, by the way, in the meantime. I just need a second. I will go to Mozilla because it still kicks me out. So I will drop off for a second. I'll be back in 1 minute.
Yeah, so while Sally's doing that, I'm going to show you effectively some of the... So what we've done is we've started like mocking out some of the game screens. Obviously, no, we want to give an idea of what this game is going to look like, right? So let's show you what this looks like. So this is going to be the kind of the backdrop. Okay, so we want kind of like a quest adventure theme, and the opening kind of game screen. So the kind of thing that kind of draws you in. Okay, it's going to basically be like a message that will explain what you have to do. Have a banner, have a button that says start a new game, and then it will cycle to a leaderboard, because obviously you can't have a game without a leaderboard, right? You need to have bragging rights and show that you are currently the top of the leaderboard. But when you do want to play a game, then the idea we've got is that you enter your name, you use a programming language that you're familiar with, and then you can set the difficulty level and then choose your preferred avatar. Maybe even kind of like use Gen AI to create one that's unique for your game. And then you start straight into the game board, right? So this is what the kind of game board is going to look like, although there'll be multiple colors, because we want easy questions, like moderate questions and hard questions. But we want to add some strategy, because these are all the things we talked about in the first episode, right? There'll be icons, and icons allow the player to make choices, and those choices have consequences, right? Either more points, higher risk, less points. And obviously the idea is that if a player plays and makes choices, they can get and then maximize their points opportunities to get top of the leaderboard. And so these are some of the ideas that we've currently been playing with. So yeah, so that's not just a. Oh,
I'm here. I hope
yeah,
it will
back.
work better.
Right. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. I was just basically sharing some of the screens and what the game's going to look like as a very kind of high level. So I think the point is that we've got some image and graphics assets that we can bring to the game, bring to the front end stuff as we start kind of like building out. Okay, back to you, Salih.
All right. So I will hopefully, without dropping, I'm sharing my IDE right now. So where we left off was basically we were running this app. I will stop running it because I want to continue with my implementation. So it already created the React application. That's fine. The next thing that it does is it actually does a Tailwind configuration. Tailwind configuration is one of those boring tasks that we do generally when we want to work with Tailwind. That it has to install some libraries, it has to add some files that is for managing Tailwind.
Can you expand the public and source directories on it, so we can see where all this kind of stuff is going into? So these are all in the assets directory, and is that right? Is that where it's putting everything?
Yes and no. Like the thing is, the general information or general file changes, they happen in different places. For example, the vconfig ts file that we have here to have the call to the Tailwind, it is part of my root game project directory. Right. So it is not part of the sources. Okay. But for changes that we do, or when we want to use Tailwind, we go to then, for example, our index CSS, then we import the capabilities of Tailwind CSS to be used in these applications. Why is it important? The way that you write CSS is, yes, it's complicated, especially if you come from worlds that is not accustomed to do these things. It really wants to quit the open and just go back to farming. It was so much work. But with Tailwind, you have systems, you have keywords. It's not a baby work, but it's easier.
Yeah. And you got a prompt, by the way. You got a prompt in the main thing to proceed.
Oh, okay. It says, since I use Shotzian, we have a newer version. It asks, do you want to get a new version? I said, yeah, sure. And
okay, so effectively, I wanted to sort of see like more. I like when we're installing these things. I want to see how it's changing my project, what it's doing. So I feel like, because I think this goes to the whole point of what you said, right? Is that as you're using these tools, they provide an opportunity. I think you said this in the first episode about learning how these things work. And I think for me, also learn as Kiro is vibe coding, and it's building files, changing files, adding files. I'm seeing actually what my project is changing into. And I have a much better appreciation of actually all the components and how they will fit together.
And that is very important as well, because sometimes we take things for granted and sometimes we think, yeah, it's working, it should be fine. But no, like why, for example, like these are not breaking errors for us, like warnings for us. These are just warnings. But you have to understand why. Like your project will compile, everything will work fine. But why do I have these things? These are very important, as well as even why do I have a public? Okay, it's not a problem. With maybe it's my account. I don't know. So anyway, let's continue. Like with Shotzian, now it asks us like how like what kind of color schema you want to start off your base with. You can select anything. I would just go with neutral. I don't, because we will change everything